Have you ever noticed that small gates and narrow roads sometimes open out into the most incredibly wide open spaces? I've noticed that sometimes when I've been walking in the countryside, we go down this narrow lane, sort of hedged in all around with trees, and then we go through a little gate, and then suddenly opening up before us is this vast space, this incredible landscape, where you just think, this is such glorious room. And yet before it wasn't like that. Well, I think that's what Jesus is getting across to us when he says, small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. And it's amazing how when we hear Jesus saying that, some of us get fixated on this idea that we're going to be kept in this little narrow lane forever, or held in this restricted gateway forever. But the word that's really key in this whole statement is that it leads to life. And it's sad that only few people find it, because the life itself is so glorious. It's tempting, isn't it, just to go down that wide road, and it just doesn't really lead anywhere worthwhile. But to go down a narrow road and through a restricted gate and then into this vast open space is something that's absolutely glorious. I want you to see that Jesus is holding out to you that offer of life in all its abundance. Yes, there's a lot that we will have to lay aside in order to enter in. We will have to choose a narrow path to walk down, and that can be difficult. And we will have to go through a narrow gate. I know some people think about when Jesus said about the camel going through the eye of a needle. They very often think of it as that eye of a needle gate, that very small gateway that sometimes is part of a much larger gate. And you can just imagine if the camel's trying to get through that, you'd have to take off every bit of its load until there was nothing left. And I know sometimes when we're trying to understand God's purposes for our life, it comes as a shock to realize that he wants us to lay aside all the weights and the burdens, the sin, the self-centeredness. But what we discover when we seek first the kingdom, go down that narrow road and through that restricted gate, is so vast and so incredible that it's worth every sacrifice. So I want you to keep that verse in your mind, that yes, small is the gate and narrow is the road, but the life that God leads us into is incredibly rich, incredibly full, and absolutely worthwhile and rewarding.